Straight Talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, alright here. Oh, simply straight talk.
Welcome to the Simply Straight Talk podcast. I'm Melissa, a professional voiceover artist. If you're new to our podcast, we hope you find it motivational and fun because you're in the right place. We can't wait to share what we've learned about life with you. After all, you never know what Reggie's going to say. Stick around, the show is about to start.
One.
What it do, people? Your homeboy can't count. Oh no! You need to keep this. We're keeping this intro. What it do, people? What it do? Yes, we are. There is fuckery afoot. Your homeboy can't count for shit and didn't realize that the Lisbon Connect counts for us, and then he counted differently to what was on the screen to make it worse. He was like a second behind. Hence why you caught us laughing and cackling down the line, people. Welcome to Simply Straight Talk. It's me, your girl, Angelique Franklin, and your boy, giggling in the corner, Reggie. Say hello, Reggie. Stop giggling.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. Welcome to another week, another fresh episode on Simply Straight Talk. And this week's episode is Are Men Needed for Babies? Now, I get it, people. I know when you hear this, you're like, well, duh. Yes, we are. Or has something happened and no one told us? No, we know physiologically or physically, we know you are needed to produce the babies, but we're asking more on a different sort of angle. We are kind of responding to a video that was posted on TikTok. Who posted the original video, Reggie? What was her name?
Valerie Sarah.
Yes, and Reggie, why don't you tell us what the kind of premise of the video is that we're kind of debating now?
Okay. So the discussion was taking place regarding that women are the key to having babies, and women are the decision makers, and women are the ones that decide when babies come into the world, and men just simply follow. My thing with that is that it should be that it's a joint decision.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. I concur.
Yeah. And I think that's why we got such a disconnect between men and women right now, because it, like, on any social media platform, you will always see the argument of, women don't need men, women can raise children on their own. Men arguing back saying, no, a man is needed as well. There are single fathers, they can raise children on their own. And even when it comes to having a child, people don't seem to want to talk or have the discussion about, okay, if we're going to be in a relationship and we're going to start having intercourse, do we want kids? Are kids plans in the future? Because you can't be one parent saying, yeah, I want kids, and the other one like, nah, I don't ever want kids.
No, that's a recipe for some madness. That's what that is.
It is.
That's a recipe for heartache and disaster. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I concur. I mean, as a woman of the 21st century, Reggie, I am here for female independence. I am here for us striving and pioneering. I'm here for it all. But one thing I must remind men and women, we are not islands. We do not operate on our own, right? It takes two to tango. It takes two to make a baby. Even if you're trying to do artificial insemination and you're looking to go the solo route as a woman, you still require a man's DNA in his sperm to create the goddamn baby. So you can fool yourself all you want thinking that I'm doing this on my own. You still actually do need men. We haven't figured out ways to grow babies without, men sperm yet, and I really hope we don't ever get there. And if we ever get there, I hope I've left the planet by then. Do you know what I mean? I'll be honest with you. Like, I understand there are single mothers and there are single fathers. I
Right.
guarantee you, if you sat down and spoke with the majority of them, not all, most of them would prefer to do it in a unit with the help of the other parent, because it's
Hmm.
a lot of stress, it's a lot of responsibility to take by yourself. And most of the time, I think once you're in it and you realize what it means to be a parent, you would go back and maybe advise yourself to really think about it instead of like striving F ahead and thinking, I don't need a man, I don't need anybody. Because why you would want to do that to yourself as a parent, and why also would you want to do that to the child? Like, it, I'm not saying a woman and a man need to stay together as a couple to raise a child. Yes, in an ideal world, that would be the great and best circumstance. But as we know, human beings aren't, we're not robots. But ideally, you want at least to be co parenting, like for the
Yes.
child to kind of get lessons from both the woman and the man. I'm very blessed to know that I had both my parents, and what I got from each individual was something different from each. And I know I would definitely be out of balance if I had more of one over the other, for sure. And this whole concept that we don't need men, it's like, really? Why would you want to do that journey by yourself? And why are we discounting men like they don't matter? Like, as women, we'd hate that if we heard that. We don't need women. We just need their eggs. We be hella. Oh, listen, the feminists would be riling up. How dare you talk about you don't need us and you don't need us? How dare you? Do you know what I mean? There'd be uproar and there'd be umbrage for days. But we seem to be okay with dismissing men and then wondering why we've got all these poor women constantly raising women by themselves. I'm not saying it's simplified as that, but do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if you constantly strive for independence, you're going to get that, which means you're going to be alone. And why would you want to do everything, and especially something as huge as that, by yourself, if you could do it with someone, if not as a couple, at least co-parenting? Do you know what I mean? Civilly together.
Exactly. I think for some reason, I think men and women have a difficult time really trying to understand what the other brings to the table when it comes to raising a child.
Oh, God have mercy. Has it come down to that? Has it? We're at this stage. What do you bring to the table? Oh God.
Yeah. Because I mean, because when you hear people say stuff like, "Oh, I can raise a child by myself. I can do it by myself." There are things that a woman can teach a child that a man just can't,
Right, and
and
vice
vice
versa.
versa.
There
Yeah,
we go.
there's things a man like. See, we're this is where we're opposite because I didn't have my father in my life,
Mhm. Mhm.
so everything I learned, I had to learn from my mother and my grandmother.
Mhm.
But I did have uncles who sort of stepped in,
Yeah.
which was cool.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as actually having a father to teach a son because there are certain things when it comes to a male child growing up,
Yep.
dating, women, manhood,
Mhm.
those type of things.
Yeah.
So it does. All right. Both parents play a role in how that child sees life going forward.
Yeah, and also how they see relationships and how to interact with
Mm-hmm.
the opposite sex moving forward. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you made a good point. There's things that a woman can teach a child, and a man can teach a child. Like, there was things that I learned from my mother that my dad couldn't teach me, and there was things that my dad taught me that my mum couldn't teach me, and that's me as a girl child. Do you know what I mean? I learned from my dad what a good man looks like, what it looks like to be with, like, around a man who knows himself, respects himself, and respects women. It was from that model, and I'm
Mm.
very lucky to have had that, by the way, because I know it's not a guarantee. Unfortunately, and I really hate saying it as a black person as well, but it's not guaranteed amongst the black community because unfortunately there are quite a few absentee black fathers. So I hate the
Mm.
fact that I have to say, oh, I'm lucky. It shouldn't be that. It should be the opposite of that, but it is what it is. Like I said, we're not living in a picture perfect world here. But
Right.
my dad showed me what it meant, like what I should look for as a woman when I'm going forth in the world as an adult and then having relationships with men. My mum showed me what it meant to be a woman and how to embrace that in some ways. Do you know what I mean? Um, and I think that's vital. So vital for a child to be as full and balanced as possible, because the rest they're going to have to figure out for themselves as they get older. But to really fill a child's cup in a healthy, balanced as possible way, you do need both. And like, I just don't understand this need to strive to do everything by yourself. Like, where is the partnership? Where is the kind of collaborating? I don't understand this need to isolate ourselves and then cut off. But the thing is, the same people that go, "Oh, I don't need a man," will be the same people that will be lonely, you know.
Yes.
The same people in the darkest quiet of the night are sad and would like support and would like love and would like a partnership, you know?
That is true.
I just, and there's nothing wrong with that. And just the same way, I just want to make something clear. You know, if you're a single man or woman, I'm not saying the be and all and end all is that you must have a boyfriend or girlfriend. But I always advocate that you must at least have experienced it a few times in your life before you leave this planet, because I feel like that's a life experience that everyone deserves to have.
Hmm.
If after maybe you've been married or you've had various other partnerships and you've reached a certain age of 45, 50 years old plus, you decided, you know what, I don't want a long-term relationship, you know what, that's fine. You've experienced life, you've had a taste of relationships. Go ahead with your bad self, right? But that's different to children. And this idea that, oh, men don't have a say, I think it's quite irresponsible as well, if I'm honest with you, because you're forgetting the fact that it's not just about you, it's about the child. And what does the child need? It's not what you need.
It really is. And as sometimes I feel like men and women have just become so selfish.
Yeah, very much so, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this is not a shot at women, but normally when this conversation comes up and we start talking about having babies,
Mhm.
yes, men realize that women carry the bulk of it because they carry the child for 9 months.
Mhm.
We get that. We know that. We understand that. But that should not be the arguing point
Mm-mm.
for what makes a person feel like, how can I say this without any backlash? I'm probably gonna get some backlash for that, but
We're gonna get backlash to this whole episode anyway. There's gonna be people that disagree with us, and that's fair enough. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, okay. So whenever this conversation comes up, it always comes back to, well, it's my body, it's my body. But having
Mm.
a baby is not just one person; that's two people.
Mm.
So yes, it is your body. Your body is designed to carry the child,
Mhm.
but you cannot weaponize that against your partner.
No, 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 no. But that would be just as bad as a guy saying, "Oh, you want a baby? Good luck with that. You ain't having that without my sperm. So what are you gonna
Yeah.
do for me?" It could be weaponized on the other end of the stick, and we wouldn't like that either. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I yes, and as a woman, I appreciate that. Yes, it's our bodies that carry it. Yes, it's us that has to like bear a lot of the early years, the brunt, breastfeeding. The child relies heavily more on the mum, and especially in the early stages. But why would you deny your child access to their father, who is the other half of them? Why would you do that? In what way does that are as an individual? This is what I don't
Exactly.
understand. In what way does it benefit a child for you to act like the father, the other half of them doesn't exist? Do you know what I mean? Like, why
Yep.
would you do that to an individual? Oh, don't worry about your dad. He doesn't exist. It's whatever. You only need me. I would like to know about the other half of me. I would like to know about the other half of my family, my heritage, because people forget we are the sum of those who came before us. Yes, we
Mm-hmm.
strive to create our own individualism and our own stories, but part of our story is also our ancestors and our legacy. It's what we can take pride in. It's what we can draw strength from sometimes. Do you know what I mean? There's plenty of times that I draw strength from the fact that my dad is a proud Jamaican, or I draw strength from my
Right.
cultures that, like, I draw strength from that. I'm proud of that fact. And I tell people proudly about my heritage and where my parents are from and their culture. Why would you deny your child access to a very part of who they are effectively? Just because you've decided you want to be independent, or this need for ego, whatever the fuck it is that's driving you. or bitterness maybe because you've been through bad situations in the past. Oh, we're just in it for the instant gratification. Oh, we're just here for the sex. Okay, that's great. Then strap up in it.
There you go.
Strap up and knock yourself out. You know what I mean? Knock boots. The cows come home, and again when they go and they come back home. Like, just do it as much as you want. Strap up. But this whole, I'm just gonna like fucking Russian roulette it and pull the trigger and let's see, bang bang, will we make a baby? Babies are not handbags. They're not shoes. It's an actual whole human being that you are now connected to for life, whether you want to be or not.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's crazy to me that like, you hear women saying, "Oh, I don't need a man, I can do it." You do need a man because without him, the baby isn't being born. Just as equally as without you, the baby isn't being born. Do you know what I mean? It's an equal. Both parties are needed, so both parties should have a say in. Do you know what I mean? What happens? And ultimately, yes, I can appreciate if a man turns around and says, "Well, I don't want you to keep this baby," and the woman says, "Well, I'm going to." Yeah, the final buck does stop with her, but you got to think long and hard about that. Do you know what I mean?
See, that's true. Because that's something that's come up too is what happens when one person, like say two people are together,
Hmm.
the woman gets pregnant, and one person doesn't want the baby. If the woman doesn't want the baby, but the man
Yep.
does he have a say so if she's to carry the baby and then give it to him? Or can she just abort without him, regardless of how he feels? Now, that's a tough one.
That's tough because that there's too many. It's not a black and white situation. People like to black
Mm-hmm.
and white it, but there's too many. You'd have to really understand that the elements of that circumstance. Do you know what I mean? Like, are they in a committed relationship? And it's a case that the guy's always wanted children, but the girl from the jump said, because for instance, I heard on a podcast recently that
Mm-hmm.
a man and a guy, a man and a guy and a girl got together, and from the jump, the girl said to the guy, "I don't want children. I'm not maternal. I'm not interested in children. I don't want children." And she told him that from the jump, and he said that he accepted it, but really secretly he was hoping that, oh, she's young, she's in her early 20s, she'll change her mind. He convinced himself that she would change her mind. They stayed together for 2 3 years. Everything's great. They get married, and then the following year, and I think she's about 24, she falls pregnant. She does not want the child because she told him from the jump, I don't want children. But he does. And he manages to somehow, through whatever conversation or whatever he says, to convince her to keep the child and have the child. She goes ahead and keeps the baby, has the baby. She ends up suffering from severe postpartum depression, doesn't touch
Ooh.
the child, does not want the child near. He said he went out one day, came home, and found the child screaming, top of its lungs, in its cot, while the mum was downstairs in the corner, just rocking back and forth and crying. And she was screaming at him, "Get it out, get it away from me." She didn't say get the baby or the son, get it away from me. And now the question he posted the podcast was, what do I do? Like, do I call social services and commit her for like child negligence? Do I put her in a psych ward? Like, what? And it's like, my G, I felt for both of them. I felt because I felt you pressured her into it and she agreed. Why would you say yes to something you don't want to do? Because now you've got a child in this mix.
Yeah.
Now you've got a child who didn't ask to be here and has got one parent who basically effectively emotionally blackmailed the other one into having the baby, and the other one who stupidly, knowing full well in herself she didn't want children, agreed to have a child, and now the child sees it and she hates it. It's like, now what? Do you know who suffers from that? The child. You guys will
Exactly.
suffer, but do you know who's going to suffer the most? The child.
Exactly. Especially if you have someone who doesn't want the child.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's because if a person doesn't want a child,
Yep.
they're not going to do their best to take care of that child to ensure the
Nope.
child is healthy.
Nope.
It's going to show in their actions, their behavior. Like if they're not supposed to drink, they're going to drink.
Yep.
You know,
That's why I say you have to be very clear, especially as a woman. If you're with a guy, whether it's a one night stand or they're in a relationship, and the guy tells you from the jump, I don't want children, or I've already got children, I don't need any more, whatever the reason they say no, and you still go ahead and sleep with that person unprotected, knowing full well you can fall
hmm
pregnant, that to me is highly irresponsible and selfish. because you were hoping they might change their mind. And maybe in some circumstances they do change their mind and they get on board. But let's be real, the average person is not going to change their mind. They done told you, I don't want children. But you went ahead and played Russian roulette and messed around, and now you got a baby. And flash forward, you say, oh, I'm pregnant, and the guy inevitably says, well, I told you I didn't want children. And you go, well, I'm going to keep the baby anyway. Okay, cool, you do that. But then what annoys me is you've gone into that supposedly eyes wide open. He's told you from the jump, and now you have a baby. Flash forward, the baby's born, and the dad's not on it. He don't want to be involved, and you're getting mad at him. But this is your child.
Yeah.
Why are you
Yeah.
not? He done told you from beginning to now, I don't want a child, and now you're mad at him. Are we all right? Are we all going partially deaf? Did he not tell you? And now this poor child is stuck in a circumstance where the dad fully doesn't want to be there. The mum is angry and bitter because I can't believe you don't want to look after your child, even though you done told me you didn't want a child. It's like, did you hear the words coming out your mouth? And now this poor child has to suffer through this. Those circumstances in particular really effing annoy me. And I don't care whether it's what way round it is, whether it's the man that said he didn't want the child or the woman that has a child, but then the two individuals go ahead and mess around and have children anyway. That circumstance winds me the hell up.
Yeah, me too, because it's like,
As far as I'm concerned.
yeah. And then because sometimes you have parents who are so unhappy about the relationship with their partner that they'll take it out on the child, because when they look at the child, they see the partner.
Right, it's a reminder, exactly.
It's a reminder of how much, and they may start acting out in aggression towards the child, start mistreating the child, but it's really not for the child. It's their way of getting back at their partner. But in the most stupidest way, they cannot seem to realize that, look, everything you're doing to this child is not hurting your partner, you're hurting your child.
And yourself, because you're going to have to deal with that.
Exactly. And they wonder when the child grows up and has so much resentment, because they know what's going on. They know what's going on. They will learn the truth
eventually, won't they?
Yeah. So when they start to like really act out, really become aggressive or disrespectful, the parents got to take accountability for that. All that hate and venom that you had towards your partner, that you took out on your child, is now coming back on you.
Right. Or the other one where you hear one parent bad-mouthing the other. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Oh, I hate that.
Around the children. Or you're using your children as a tool to be spiteful to the other parent, and like by withholding access. All of that shit. Like, it boggles my mind when I hear it, because it's complicated enough being a parent. You want to throw in bitterness and anger and envy and resentment, and the poor child has to deal with that? Like, you are an adult. When you lay down, you chose to either not use protection or muck around, knowing full well that you could get pregnant in this circumstance. And then flash forward now, another human being's involved, but you out here just throwing hate and resentment, and you're bad-mouthing either the baby mama or the baby father. Like, brother, seriously, grow up and come correct and be accountable for your actions. It's sad when I hear that. I always said, or the other one where you hear people, like women or men, hoping a baby's going to fix a relationship.
Oh my God.
When they have babies for them reasons. Oh, things are a bit rocky between us, but I know having a child will just bond us together. It will make us stronger together. Really? That's what you thought was going to fix shit? Staying connected to life through another human being? That's what you thought was going... Oh, no, you didn't think that was going to add pressure on top of a fragile situation. Right, okay, cool. Like, babies are not Band-Aids. Babies are not fix-it-alls. They're not like houses. They're not fixer-uppers. They're not these magical unicorns that spread love dust over the two adults involved, and suddenly now you're happy to be together. Don't watch the Hollywood movies, people. Life very rarely works out. You know what I mean? It very rarely works out like that. And now you've got a messed up child that's going to need therapy for life. And you're probably going to have anger issues.
Yeah, that does not work.
It really doesn't. I'm not saying there aren't random circumstances where, hey, maybe they bond and they do come together. I get that, there are. But those are generally the exception to the rule, unfortunately.
Yeah, because normally by the time, when a person decides, if a man decides I'm gonna get a woman pregnant, if a woman decides I'm going to get pregnant, then this person has to be with me so we can raise this child.
Mm,
By the time it may come to the point to where the two sides come together, there's normally so much
mm,
confrontation that has taken place about why we're in this situation
yeah.
that it's just that it's really hard to heal. They
Yeah.
may be with each other for convenience at the moment, where the guy saying, you know what, she's gonna put me on child support. I guess I'm stuck with this,
Right.
you know,
For
or the
more
woman,
resentment.
yeah, or the woman is like, he got me pregnant. I had plans. I want to go to school, and he doesn't care. You know, if both people are gonna feel like they're trapped.
Yeah, fully.
Like I got trapped into a relationship that I don't want to be in. Especially if you come to realize that this is not the person you thought they
Yes.
were.
Yeah. Which often happens, because
Yeah.
this is the thing. Like in a relationship, there's different experiences and scenarios that will allow you to see who someone really is. There's
Hmm.
the experience of moving in together. There's experience of like maybe being married. There's experience of becoming parents, and obviously there's experience of like when you've been in a relationship after a certain amount of years as well. All those different kind of like factors could really show you who this person really is. You know what I mean? Like whether they were the person you hoped or thought they'd be or not. And a baby is definitely a revealing test of who that person really is for both the man and the woman. You know what I mean? Because like a woman could be like, "Oh, I would never be that type of mum," and then you become a mum and you become the bitter, angry, resentful mum who's cutting off access. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Prior to that, and just flip it over, the men can be just as equally petty and bullshitting. So
Hmm.
for me, it boils down to we need to respect the this might sound a bit crazy, but you need to respect the sacredness and the responsibility of sex. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think sex has become something so frivolous and so like, yeah, let's just bust a nut and have a good time. We're not talking about drinking, people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not talking about riding a bike, yeah, or going on holiday. Yes, in the moment it's all very it's very sensual and sexy. Great. But you know what? It's actually a real thing. It's a big responsibility to lay down with someone knowing the possible outcomes, whether that's
Hmm.
pregnancy or an STI. Do you know what I mean? Um, it's a big deal, and we don't treat it with the respect it should. Do you see what I mean? It's like the same way I feel about guns. Y'all just be picking up buying guns and not treating it with the fact that it can end a life. Do you know what I mean? But you just
Exactly.
fucking swinging around the gun with a bullet anyway because it's fun, right? It's cool. Or I must have one. Really? Must you? Are you prepared for the possible consequences if you pull the trigger? Really? You know what I mean? Like we need to respect sex a little bit more and take accountability for our role when you are laying down with someone.
No, you're right, and because it has become so just like people don't even have to work for it anymore.
No, of course not. No.
Yeah, and it's sad that because people don't respect each other anymore. It's just first date, let's go,
Yeah, I
and
think
then
sex has become very something very what do you call it? Like everyday mundane now.
yeah, and then when a baby comes out of it, it's just people blaming each other.
I know they want to act shocked and confused. How is this baby here? I
Yeah.
don't understand. Did you remember the baby turning up? When did this baby? Who said this baby was going to be here? You guys did when you lay down and had the little funky good times. And you didn't decide to strap up. And it's like that's how that happened.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it. He wanted to do it. No, she wanted to do it. She seduced me. Like,
Right, all of that, and that's what I mean. Accountability, Reggie. I'm not saying that you can't have a good time as a single person, but you can still enjoy sleeping with someone that you're not a partner with, just as long as you strap up and protect yourself and to prevent this shit happening, or be on the pill. And if you don't want to be on the pill, fair enough, because they do mess with your body. All those kind of like contraceptive pills and injections. Strap up. That's why condoms were invented.
mm-hmm.
Just strap up. I'm sorry if maybe it reduces your sexual pleasure in the moment and it's not just as fun as skin on skin, but baby, hey, at least it means you're avoiding STIs and babies. Take your life seriously and the possible new life you could bring into this world seriously. Take it seriously. It's not that hard. It takes all of 2 seconds to do what you got to do and strap up before you have a good time.
Exactly. And I fail to see why, since everybody wants to be, well, I didn't say everybody, since most people want to be so loose and free with just having
Hmm.
sex, then every, both sides need to carry contraceptives.
Fully. It's not on the man. It's not just on the woman. It's on both of you. You're both laying down. Be responsible. Be
Exactly.
accountable. And then
And
you could
most
avoid circumstances where you're going to have conversations where it's like, oh, I'm pregnant. Really? I only met you yesterday.
exactly.
I met you like a month ago. I don't know you. We've not spoken since. What do you want me to do about that?
See, exactly.
Just, oh,
Exactly.
it boggles my mind.
And most people know when they go out, when they're feeling like, tonight I'm gonna have fun, I don't care.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah, of course.
But
Of
they,
course you
like you
do.
said, accountability. They don't want to accept responsibility for the decisions they make to
Mm,
go out and lay down.
yeah. There is nothing more heartbreaking, and unfortunately, it is a more common story than I would prefer, than hearing about a girl that went out, had a good time, wherever on holiday, one night at a club, slept with a guy, finds out she's pregnant, then tells him, and he's like, "So what? I don't know
Well,
you. I don't
that's
care." Nothing more heartbreaking than that. Nothing more heartbreaking than that. Reduce that, really. Let's be real. Because now you got a girl that has to make that decision on her own,
yeah,
even though it took two of them. And this is why it's important to be accountable as much as you can, so you can avoid those heartbreaking circumstances. Because it's like it's heartbreaking. Now she's on her own, and now she's got the bulk decision of deciding: do I raise this child or not? Do I keep the child or not? That's heartbreaking. And this is what I mean, people. If we took the time, just a few seconds, just a few minutes to think about that, you could avoid those moments. And it's possible. I am
hmm
38 and I've never had a pregnancy scare. Not once. Because I don't
see,
mess around with that. Because I value my life. I value my life. And I also value the idea of bringing another new life into this world. Because as much as I love my parents and they did the very best that they could, they were not a healthy relationship. And God damn it, I wish they divorced years ago. I mean, it's their relationship. But me and my brother and my siblings had to witness that. You know what I mean? So for me personally, remembering the childhood experience that I had with its highs and lows and its good bads and bad points,
uh
I
huh,
took it very seriously for me that as a woman, I'm going to do what I can do on my part to make sure that I don't ever get caught out slipping and I'm forced to make that type of decision. I want to make sure that when I bring a child into this world, as much as possible, that I know it's because I want you to be here. Come what may, I'm ready to be your mum. And I hope that the person I choose to have a baby with equally wants you to be here and wants to do that with me.
exactly, and
That's what I
that's
would
how
like.
it should be.
Hopefully, yeah. And I understand that maybe right in that moment you can both be together. And I know things can change. You as a couple can break up. But I would like to think that I would pick someone that, whether they're with me or not, that we are co-parents good together. Do you see what I mean? Something. It's one of the few things that I took seriously. And I am a joker, so there are some things that I don't take seriously. But I don't fuck around when it
Uh
comes to babies.
huh.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because you got to have the same morals and values when it comes to bringing a
Yeah,
child into this world.
as much as possible. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's no joke.
yeah, and a lot of people are just they're stuck on the infatuation of each other, and they're not thinking long
Mm,
term.
yeah. Yeah, or just thinking about action and consequences. Because as we know, a lot of children most times nowadays are born from like one night stands or like a little random booty call situation gone wrong. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then now you're both being forced with a dilemma of what do I do about this possible human being coming into this world. There's too many single parents. There's too many single parents. It's a shame because a child deserves to know both parents, but know both of their heritage, have a connection to both the mother and the father because they both play vital, pivotal roles in a child's development. It's a fact. For
That is
like
true.
to think whether a single dad or a single mum can fully fulfill that cup and all the roles of both parents is not possible. No matter how much they've got the best intention, no matter how much they try, you can never really replace the role of having two parents that what I mean can provide full kind of support and knowledge for a child to know about who they are and their heritage. It's just not possible, and it's a shame.
No, because it's just so much. like I applaud single fathers and single mothers, but for
Yeah,
single
my God, yeah.
fathers, there's no way we can explain a menstrual cycle. We can read about it, but there's things that a woman's body goes through
Mm,
that even no matter how much we read, we still need another woman that can explain what is taking place.
my God, yeah. But just as equally, a woman can't explain what it means to grow facial hair, to these things that a boy's body goes through, and beyond the physical of like periods and all these other physical things that happen to boys and girls, there's also what it means to just be a girl and a woman, and then also what it means to be a boy and a man. A woman's never really gonna be able to connect with that and really tell her boy child about that. And just as equally, a man can never really fully connect with that and tell their female child about that.
That's true.
You just can't. Like, there's experiences and things that we go through as a woman that only another woman can understand, and just as equally, there's things that men go through that a woman will never be able to understand, that only a man could really relate. Just is what it is, and to think that you can do it by yourself, like, oh, I don't need a man, but what? What are you talking about? You need first of all, you need man to create the baby, and ideally, you want the man there to be involved to provide the other side of the balance. So your child is a balanced, full individual who knows themselves and has been given as much guidance as possible. Balanced guidance at that, by the way.
See, but that's why I fail to understand why is the whole thing of not needing a man to have a baby is even a conversation like where are they getting this from?
It's become this. It's very, like I've said before 100 times before in this podcast. It feels very like ego driven. Like, I can do it better than you, and I don't need you. Watch me go. Okay, cool, cool. All right. Now, like it became something about pioneering and standing our ground and the fight for equality. And now we've gone beyond the fight for equality to just giving the middle finger to the opposite sex. Now that's just where we're at. Like,
Yeah.
it went from no, I want to be treated as equal to fuck you. I don't need you. I don't like you. We are not necessary. What? Where did equality come into that? I don't understand. We're just gonna be out here straight dismissing that, like, the contribution of men to the world, because we wouldn't like that if they did that to women. So I don't. This is the part that annoys me. It's like, why has it now become a trend to dismiss a man's contribution to the world? Because if when it was done to us for decades and centuries, we didn't like it. So why are we now returning the favor? Like, two wrongs don't make a right, people. Like,
Yeah.
what? Can we be better? We need to do better. You get that, right? And not at the expense of the opposite sex. For me personally.
Yeah, like it's so hard for men and women like just to be on the same page. Like, okay, I get it. You want to be empowered, but I don't think that should mean like totally just disrespecting and not, valuing the other one.
No, it's about teamwork. You get further
Exactly.
when you work together. It's just fact. You would get further, and it would be a more enjoyable experience as well to collaborate, to hear other people's perspectives and ideas, to spark that off of each other and build a better world. Why does it have to be that one has to be above the other, or we tread on the other, we dismiss the other? Why does it need to look like that or be like that? And how does that help future generations to come? By the way, like, what example are you setting for the next generation by saying like stuff like that and behaving like that? I don't understand. Because we have to live with men and men have to live with women. Fact, we're on the planet
Yeah.
together. It's not like we're on separate planets here and we come together once a bloody blue moon. We live and we cohabitate together on this planet as a race, men and women. So how does it help to create division and isolation? I don't understand.
Yeah. That's what I can't seem to figure out. Because that's the thing, is like men and women have become so separate now. Like everything. Like men and women can barely have a conversation without it turning into, who's been hurt the most, who did the worst to who.
But that's ego though. That's pettiness. That's lack of accountability. Like, I think if we, as a society, took the time to remember that we are responsible for our choices and we have the power to change and do better within ourselves, then when you go through certain experiences as an adult, you can ask the question of, okay, what was my role in that and what can I learn from this and how can I do better for next time, instead of pointing the finger of blame.
Mm-hmm.
You would find that we would come together more as a team. I'm not saying that you should take all the blame of every circumstance when it goes wrong, because it does. It takes two
Right.
for most circumstances. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like if we can be more accountable for our choices and our actions and our thoughts and our emotions, instead of constantly putting the responsibility of how I feel and I want to feel good and I need to be happy onto someone else's lap, we probably would. You know, you've got women being angry at men, you've got men being angry at women, you've got women with these mad expectations of men, you've got men with these unrealistic expectations of women. And it's like no one's trying to like find a way to work together and listen to one another, like, and really listen, not hear, actually listen and learn. No one's trying to learn and evolve. We're just pointing fingers going, well, you're shit, men are waste, you're all fuck boys, fuck them. It's like, okay, how's that helpful? Like, we just have bitter, angry, lonely women. Like, and then you've got men who are out here going, women ain't shit, they only want you for your money, they're only good for one thing. Okay, how does that help you? Because now you just angry, cold-hearted men. Like, what's
That's
happening?
it.
What's going on here? And yet we're also with that same mentality trying to raise the next generation. The next generation are fucked. Like, there's not enough therapists in the world for the next generation. For all of this mentality, like, that's the other thing. Don't you forget there's a blowback. This next generation are watching us like, well, I ain't gonna be like these guys. I'm gonna do for me and mine and fuck everybody else. Great. That's great. This is the next generation, people. Well done.
Yeah, and that's what it's turning into.
I know.
That's exactly what it's turning into.
Can you blame them though? You know, the younger generation are watching us as adults just hurt one another, hurt ourselves. So they're like, you know what? I'm just going to avoid all of that mess. I'm just never going to have connections. I'm never going to have a real relationship because relationships are stressful. They lead to heartbreak and
Mm-hmm.
mess. So you know what? I'm just going to play the field to the day I die. Do you know what I mean? And both young boys and girls are acting like that because they're watching us make a complete mess of ourselves and this thing called like connection and relationships. I'm not so. I would behave the same way.
Yeah, and you're absolutely. I've seen so many videos of men because what I asked something about why men, because somebody said posted something about men. Oh, but why are men not pursuing women anymore? So I responded and basically said that men are seeking more peace. The amount of comments down below from men who say they just rather be by themselves, they're tired of it, they don't want to deal with it. And then women responding back, I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'd rather be by myself. It's like nobody wants to be with anybody anymore.
I feel like we've become a whole society of like blamers, finger pointers, and also we've
Mm-hmm.
become a little bit shook. Like, unfortunately, this is life. You cannot avoid pain, disappointment, or heartbreak. Yeah, you just can't. And unfortunately, this is kind of like what it means to live as an adult in this world when you're interacting with other people. You're going to, sometimes there's going to be friction. It's about developing your emotional intelligence. Like, that's what I feel like is not happening enough. We're not developing our emotional intelligence so that when these moments of conflict and confusion and miscommunication come up, how do we actually sit down as two adults and try to find a way to at least understand one another's perspective? How do we apply compassion? How do we apply understanding? How do we apply like listening skills? No, I don't want to listen. No, you're wrong. You've hurt me. Fuck it, fuck them all, fuck everything. Meh, middle finger to society. Great. So everyone seems to have the emotional intelligence of a 3-year-old. I'm just going to throw a tantrum. You didn't give me what I want. Flip the table. It's like, okay. You have to do the work, people, in yourself and with each other. It's a fact. It's unavoidable. You cannot avoid heartbreak. You cannot avoid disappointment. You cannot avoid pain. But you can find ways to grow through it, to become stronger as an individual and as couples when you're in a relationship. These things don't need to break you. They don't need to be the thing that like defines you in a negative way. It can be the thing that teaches you and grows you. For every heartache and every setback and every no or knockdown or painful moment I've experienced within myself and with James as a couple has made me a better individual when I've taken the time to stop going, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why would you do this to me? I hate you. You did this to me. When I stopped doing that, I found I was learning, and my emotional range and my capacity to be, do, and have anything as a person has expanded exponentially. But it takes work, and yeah, it is a bit of a slog, and it is sometimes annoying, and I wish someone else would just fix it all things and make everything in life neat, but it can't. I think we just need to pull up our big boy and girl pants and just grow the fuck up, quite frankly.
Exactly. But nobody wants to grow up, and we've talked about this before, nobody wants to do the work when it comes to relationships.
Yeah, I know.
You know, they want the Miss Stofers in the box in the frozen section, ready made.
Yeah. Just pop it in the microwave. Got a ready-made girlfriend. Yeah.
That's it. Everything you wanted right there in a box. The house, the car, the money, the career, everything.
Instant gratification generation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No more trying to get to know who you're being with, why are you with this person, what you're trying to accomplish. No.
Yeah, it's instant gratification, and then you're wondering why life isn't fulfilling or rich, because as you know that saying, like, fast money goes fast, isn't it? So it's the same, fast love goes fast, fast life goes fast. It's like if you're constantly trying to rush the steps and the processes and the moments of life, you don't really get the full richness of it because you're skipping over life and relationships. Movies would be about 5 minutes long. The hero starts, he battles the demon, the end. Okay, that's the man has the idea for the business. He starts the business. He fails. He starts again. The end. It's like, you can't skip the steps, people. The story is the good part. And I know it's very cliche to say this line, but it's not about the destination. It is about the journey. Because the one thing, if anything, that my parents passing recently has taught me is that the only thing we leave behind are the memories, and that's our legacy. The legacy we leave behind is how we made people feel, the memories we created with them, and the stories we left with them. And it's up to you of how you decide to live that's the gift of life. What story are you trying to create with your life, and what story do you want to leave behind when you leave? Do you want it to be a story where people talk about you like they were great, they inspired me, they supported me, they cheered me on, they were just an overall good human being that I loved? Would you want that story of, I don't really know much about that guy, like, I just know that he slept around and he drove fast cars, and yeah, he seemed to wear really nice clothes. I don't know who he was though. We never really had any real deep chats, no real deep moments. Like, which one would you prefer for people to say about you?
See, and it's funny because that's actually how people live now.
I know.
That's the thing.
Rush, 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 rush. I want it now. Let's experience it now. Oh, afterwards I feel so hollow and empty. Yeah, because you skipped it. You skipped it. You
Yeah.
skipped everything and you went straight to the end, and it's all bullshit because you didn't get the experience, and you're robbing yourself of the experience of the fullness of life, and now you're wondering why you're feeling hollow and empty, looking for your next fix, your next hit, your next high.
And they can't understand it.
Yeah, it's not grounded in anything real. Like that, the
No.
stories, these experiences, these heartbreaks, these trials and tribulations, your triumphs. This is what fills your cup up, and this is what we pass to the next generation. But right now, there's a lot of finger pointing. There's no emotional intelligence. The emotional maturity is very low at the moment. I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh my goodness.
Emotional maturity
Yes.
is very low at the moment. Pair that with the
Yes.
need for instant gratification, and basically you've got a bunch of toddlers throwing tantrums, and having sex with each other. That's basically what it is. You've got the mentality of a toddler going around, you know what I mean? Sleeping around, getting your money fix, getting your materialistic fix, and you're wondering why the next generation is confused as fuck. These poor millennials. Do you know what I mean? I'd be confused too if my parents were and the older generation behaving like this.
Oh my God. That is so perfectly said. That is such a perfect way to describe it.
Basically, it's like letting a child behind the wheel of a car and put a gun in his hand. That's basically what's happening at
Yes.
the moment. You're like, go ahead, drive that car, pull that trigger. It's like that's what's kind of happening in life at the moment, and you're wondering why everything's a bit of a car crash.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, just
yeah, it's madness. It's madness. I tell you,
it's
madness.
like
Madness on these streets. It's just a shame because babies, having a child is a beautiful gift. It is a beautiful honor
exactly.
to be a parent, to raise the next generation. It is a gift. It's not something that everyone gets the privilege of having. And also, I appreciate it's not a gift that everyone wants either. Yeah, but the ones
Right.
that do want it, it's a gift to have, and it shouldn't be treated so frivolously and so callously. Of I don't need a man. I can do it by myself. Fuck women. Fuck men. We shouldn't be treating it like that. And as a result, you've got this poor child who didn't ask to be here, brought into this madness. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Who really, y'all should stop saving for college funds and just start saving for therapy because your fuckery is gonna fuck you up. So I suggest you change the college fund to the therapy fund because boy,
Because it's needed.
it's needed. It's gonna be more needed than their college degree. I'm gonna just let you know that for free. Like, yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I think it's disheartening. I think it's heartbreaking to hear about any individual, whether it's a man or woman, saying, "Oh, I don't need men, I don't need women," because it's like, where does that get us? Where do we go from there? How does that help us evolve as a society? How does that help the next generation behaving like that? How is it helping us right now? It isn't, because you've got a whole bunch of
No.
pissed off men and women. It's not helping us now. It's not working, people. It's not working. Okay.
No, it's not real. It's not working at all. But for some reason, I don't know. I guess some people seem to feel like it's working, but nobody can explain how it's working.
Now you're just fooling yourself. That's ego. Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. Are you though? Are you really fine in the cold darkness of your night when it's you one in your house by yourself? Are you really bullshitting? Let's be real.
Because you know they're not.
They're not, and that's okay that
They're
you're
not.
not, because the fact is, as human beings, we thrive off of connection. We thrive off of community. That's why the army, the military, the navy, the schools, everything is run by a community of people. Like you couldn't have an army with one man, one navy with one person. You can't run a ship with one person. You know what I mean? You can't have a school with one teacher. Like we are community based, as we are social beings. That's what makes us like, that's what separates us from the animals, is that we thrive as a community and we apply our intelligence and we build and we create things as a community, as a collective, as human beings. So to think that you don't need connection or don't need another human being boggles my mind.
See,
What? We weren't all born on individual planets, people. We're born on this whole planet together.
yeah, and if people could just be
I know.
honest, and just say like, "Hey, listen, yes, we have this child. I need you as a part of this child's life, even if you're
Right.
not a part of mine.
Right.
Put your
Exactly.
ego aside."
Right. Exactly. For the betterment, not just for the child, but also for your own peace of mind.
Ooh, good point.
Do you know what I mean?
Good point.
Yes, the child benefits from that most, but so will you, because now you've got a healthy, collaborative, co-parenting situation. Why would you not want that as ease filled as you can get? Because I know there's going to be clashes and friction because you're two different adults and you've got personalities and different views. But why would you not say, you know what, can we do this together as much as we can? What can we do to make this work for both of us and for the child? Why are we not asking these questions instead of, well, I want and I need and you better give?
See,
Well, I want, don't get, is the saying goes, isn't it? Like,
exactly. It,
I don't know. It's
I,
it's 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 hard because just as equally as you got women being mad, you got men not being accountable for their actions and choices, and I don't
see,
know, because there's just as equally a strong debate of, okay, you say for instance you met some girl at a club or you've only just started dating her and you've been having loosey goosey fun times and now you've got a child and you go, well, I don't want it,
mm-hmm.
and the woman goes, well, I'm going to keep it because I don't believe in abortions. as a man, for you to then go around and say, "Yeah, but I said I don't want it." So yeah, but you wanted it when you had sex, though, didn't you? Like,
Exactly. There you go. Good point.
unfortunately. Now, I appreciate that you might feel like the decision's been taken out of your hands because you didn't want, and she's decided to go ahead anyway. But the fact is, you're not a child. When you were there having sex, having a good time, pulling those triggers, you knew what the possible consequences were of it. And this is part of adulthood. You're going to have to suck it up now because now you've produced an old human being in the world. And I appreciate that maybe you didn't want it and she's decided, but it is what it is. Suck it up, buttercup, in it.
Yep.
And be accountable for your actions and be a dad. Suck it up. You got to go with the punches. You got to adapt. It's
Make
not. It's
sure
not
the
on that you
child
should.
take.
Right?
Yeah, but I don't know because I
That
love
annoys
I
me
take it for
really.
men, but men have to do better as well.
Yeah, fully. And that's the thing. It's a man and a woman thing because it's not all just on women. It's on both. You were both there. You were both participating in the fun times in the sheets, and I appreciate that. Maybe afterwards you got surprised by this concept. Actually, to be honest, can I be completely blunt here? And maybe someone's going to get mad at me, but
Hmm.
it always fucking irritates me when people go, "I don't know how this happened. I'm so surprised." Really, you weren't there in sex ed class. You didn't know that when a penis goes in a vagina and bing bang bosh happens, that a possible baby could happen? You didn't know that, no? Okay, cool. All right. I'm now worried for your mental health and your level of intelligence also. Like, I cannot stand it when I hear, "I don't know how this happened. It wasn't meant to happen." Did you strap up? No. Were you on any form of contraception like the pill or the injection? No. And you're surprised, really? Okay, cool. I just, what? We gotta do better. So unfortunately, as much as you might have you were just down for the good times. Yeah, well, the good times kept on rolling, and now you have a baby. And unfortunately, buck up and take responsibility for your actions. And I mean that to both men and women,
Yes, both.
both. I can't stand hearing men go, "Yeah, well, I didn't want it though." You wanted it at the time, though, innit?
Yeah, if you
That's
wanted the sex without protection, you wanted the baby.
right, fully. That's what you were saying up for. You were saying, "Fuck it, I'm a kamikaze this bitch. Come what
Hmm.
may." And now, come what may has come. You're like, "Oh no, I don't want to may it though. I don't want to come what may anymore." It gives you back, takes you backsies. Like what?
See?
You lose that right of childish. "I don't want it though. I don't want it though." When you became an adult, like the moment you laid down the sheets and started having intercourse, you now lost that right to act like a child and behave like, "I didn't want it though." Like, no, you
That's
did.
true.
You know, you lose that right. As far as I'm concerned, the moment you decide, "I'm going to do what I do and I'm going to have fun time in the sheets," you now don't get to be like, "Yeah, but I don't want a baby," is it? Then you shouldn't have laid down in it and done what you did without protection. Unfortunately, that is just the bare. If we're going to black and white it, and for you to decide that, "Oh, I'm not going to be around," how would you feel if that was you?
Exactly.
When you as a child, you didn't ask to be here, but now your dad's like, "Yeah, well, your mum, I was just trying to have a good time with your mum, innit?" Right, okay, I hear that though, but you were educated about the consequences. Yeah, yeah, I know, but I just wanted a good time. There's no yeah, but it's just you have to deal with it. You have to suck it up, buttercup. Suck it up, buttercup.
Because now the time you have to grow up.
You have to grow up. There's points we've all had moments. I've had my moments recently where I realized, right, I need to grow up, And we all have those humbling moments as adults
Yeah.
where you're like, right, I actually need to grow up. And sometimes life slaps you in the face with it. And sometimes it's a lot more gentler, our life lessons, and unfortunately we don't always get to pick our life lessons. 9 times out of 10, we don't get to pick how life teaches us our lessons. But what we do have a choice over is how we choose to handle them and how we choose to learn and grow through them instead of running away or ducking our head in the sand or making excuses. That is where our power lies. Life is going to throw you certain circumstances a lot of the times, but you have the choice about how you handle it. And you also have a choice about strapping up. I just want to keep reiterating that. I really want to keep pushing that point home. Strap up and shut up. It's like strap
Yeah,
up or shut up. Do you know what I mean?
exactly. I don't know because it seems like people always got an excuse Oh, well,
Yeah.
it just happened. Oh, it's a spur of the moment. Oh, I failed to believe that because in the time it took you to go from wherever you was going to lay
Mhm.
down with that person,
Mhm.
at some point it had to cross your mind.
Mhm.
Do I need condoms?
Mhm.
Am I do I want to sleep with this person tonight?
Mhm.
Should I just go home? So there is time.
There's plenty, and if there
There's
is no
time.
time, make the time in it.
Yes.
Pause and say, "Hey, do you have contraception?" One of you asks, and I don't want to hear this. Oh, a man should ask. No, listen, you're a grown woman. Ask.
Yeah.
If he doesn't propose the question, make sure your ass proposes the question. Do you have? And if the answer is no, it's like, well, can you go get some?
See.
And I've heard stories where like, yeah, I know, but it's not really sexy if you have to pause and then he has to go out and get there. I'm sorry. Was you like if you're really down to have sex, you're still gonna be there after, right? If he has to go to the store and grab some, right? If you're really down and you really want it with that person, you're gonna wait in it. You just wait.
Exactly.
Just chill in the sheets and have some glass of wine while you wait. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to tell you. This is life. It's not a Hollywood movie where it's like everything is so seamless and sexy. Sometimes it's a bit clumsy and whatever, klutzy, and that's just life. But if you guys apparently are really on it with each other and really want to have sex, then if you don't have protection, you can take the time to go out and grab some. That's what it is, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and this is insight for women. Some men have contraceptives, but they are afraid to bring them out because they think the woman will think, oh, so you carry these around. How many women are you sleeping with?
Exactly.
And then you have the other type of man who's like, yeah, I can go get them, but if I do, then maybe she won't be in the mood when I come back and I can't get it. So he goes into a little bit of jerk mode and
Hmm.
just try to woo her into just giving in to just doing it without it. Oh no, I'll pull out. Oh no, 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 no. We'll just go slow. Like no,
It's just, but the thing is, for me, those all just sound like bullshit excuses.
exactly. That's what it is.
Like, if and the thing is, if you are truly questioning whether, oh, because I've got to go out and grab some condoms and she might not be on it when I come back, then she won't really on it. She won't really feeling you. Like,
No,
that's just a fact. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, if a guy is so worried about, oh, but if I go out and take the time and go to the store and grab the condoms and I come back, she's gonna change her mind. She was already on the fence.
exactly.
And that's not someone you want to have sex with anyway. It should never be a case that you got to convince the other person. You should do this, right?
Yeah.
Like, it should be you should be both in the moment, both as equally attracted to each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, if if it's a case that you went out and grabbed condoms and you come back and she's not on it, to be honest, you both done yourself a favor. Because I highly doubt that was ever going to go down well if one of you was not on it. Well, do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You've saved yourself
Exactly.
both a very kind of mediocre 10 minutes. Like, do you know what I mean? Because she went on it or you went on it, just save yourself a favor, innit? Just to be honest. Maybe
Yeah.
that moment of pausing of when he goes to the shop to buy the condoms anyway is the moment of pause you need anyway to go, do I really want to do this? Do I
See,
really?
exactly.
You know what, homie? You know what? I'm just really not actually on it. Don't worry about the condoms. I'm gonna leave. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, let's just call it what it is. You know.
Yeah. And
I think it's one of those.
you can read a woman's body language when she's not really wanting to.
Of course. I mean, you say that though. Women are very good actresses, babe. And sometimes men, because it's not just a woman thing. There's men who have sex with women who aren't really attracted to that woman, but she's just. This is going to sound very vulgar, so I apologize. She's just a hole for the night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just need to bust a nut. So it's a two-way street. Men and women both have sex when they know they're not really attracted to that person.
Exactly.
It's a two-way street. Unfortunately, it does happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the reality.
It is, unfortunately, but I feel like if we took the time to think a little bit more with our head and issues, especially when it comes to the whole baby making side of things.
That is true.
We really would. We'd have more children in the world that are brought here under better circumstances, I should say.
No, that's exactly true. Because we
You
need
know,
to start bringing them in under better circumstances.
really, really do. Really, really do. To know that the people that brought you here love you and they kind of wanted you to be here. Like, at a bare minimum, a child deserves that because they didn't ask to be here. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And to think that so many children around the world are conceived through force or manipulation or, out of spite, just, oh, man. Yeah.
See,
Yeah. Sad.
it is. It is.
Yeah. It's just sad. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sure we have many men and women who have got things to say about what we did.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it is what it is. This is the beauty of living in this life, in this world. You have differing opinions and different perspectives. That's how we learn and grow from each other.
There you go.
So I do hope I get to hear your comments. Please let us know your thoughts on this episode, this topic. Reggie, how did you feel about this particular topic at hand?
I think I enjoyed this topic.
You did?
Yeah, because this is something that we hear a lot about.
Hmm.
So I think some great points. Because they got to hear a male and female perspective.
Yes, they did. And that I feel like, again, because both perspectives are equally valid and important, people.
Exactly. Y'all hear that?
Y'all hear me? You heard me. Guys, I look forward. I think we are going to be doing another episode in the next maybe 2 weeks or so, and it's going to be about the whole makeup thing. It's going to be on the subject of this whole, do women wear too much makeup? Has it become
Yes.
a mask? See how excited he was about that. He's very passionate. We are going to be talking about, has makeup become a mask, and is there a sense of loss of identity? Do you know what I mean? And how is that impacting women and men as a whole? Because it does impact men, because they're the ones that have to look at us with this slap on our face, as we say in England. All that slap on. So, yeah, that's the next subject, guys. Stay tuned in these podcast. What was that laugh? What was that? Reggie, what was that laugh? What was that laugh you just did, Reggie? I think that laugh snuck up on him, guys. Holy shit balls. What was that noise that just came out of your face?
That's just the airport.
That might be the loudest laugh I've ever heard you do. Oh my god.
My side hurts.
Good God, man. Anyway, guys, on that note, thank you for listening. Wishing you well. Peace.
Peace.
It has been wonderful sharing this conversation with you here on the Simply Straight Talk podcast. If you have feedback on today's episode, DM us on Instagram at Reggie_BM11 or email speak@simplystraighttalk.com. We'd love to hear from you. Join us again next Friday for more solution-based conversation and tips for how to deal with the challenges of life. Thanks for listening.